There it goes. Whew, cheap fit. Hello everyone. Today we're going to be working on this fairly wooded lot, as you can see behind me, and we're going to be removing some trees that are just in super close proximity to the house here. There's a few oak trees that are really dedicated over the house. It's going to be primarily this one, and then the stem off of this one. Normally I would like to really remove a whole tree like that, because removing just a stem right here is going to put a big cut there that will probably not be able to heal before decay sets in, and can potentially cause structural issues for the remaining stem. The customer's told us that he really wants to remove that other stem at some point, but it's just not in the budget for now, so it's hard to trust people to follow through those kinds of things. But we're going to do what we're going to do today, and I'm not in a position where I can refuse to do it or try to influence the situation at all. So we're going to get right ahead and get at it. We're going to use this tree to rig everything from. We're going to use that big spar up there, and that is not over the house at that point. I don't know if you can see it with the depth perception of the camera and everything, but it actually is right above this area right here probably. And so because this tree has a big leaning curve to it, we don't want to just put our ring point out up there and then put a friction device on the base of the tree, because we're going to be threatening to bend this thing like a fishing pole. And yes, one thing we could do to strengthen it is to put multiple rigging attachments all the way up there to make it function like a fishing pole and be a little bit stronger. But even better yet, what we're going to do is we're going to put our friction device on another tree back over here. And so what that's going to do is that's going to produce a rope angle that looks something like that. And that will hopefully, well, it will, is going to load the spar more directly down the spar itself in a compressive manner, rather than just trying to bend it all the way over and threaten to break it off. So that'll make things a little bit stronger. It does mean that we will be entirely relying on, or going to use the GRCS for one, and we won't be able to use the visor plate. We're going to be entirely relying on its friction on the tree, just because, you know, whatever tree we mount to, we're not going to be taken down, and we can't make a kerf in it to stick that visor plate into. So should be an interesting day. Some of that stuff's in kind of close proximity up there. Might even be a few limbs touching the house. So we're going to do our best to keep from scraping the shingles, because even a little bit of scrape can cause damage that you may not even be able to see. And it's just good practice to really stay away from stuff as much as you can. So might get creative, might have to change a plan. In fact, probably will have to change a plan. That's how it always goes. So stick around for the ride, and we'll see how we end up and see if it's any different than what I just described. I'm trying a new little system here today just to speed things up for the groundies. And this is a sling with a 14,000 pound braking strength by CMI. I have a tag on here. Yeah, there we go. As a vertical it's 14,000, as a choker it's 13,900. As a basket it's 29,000 pounds, so plenty strong for what we're doing here. 40 KN stainless steel Rock Exotica carabiner triple locking, which is more than necessary. Our rope goes up over the block there, comes down, and right now it's just sitting slack, but as soon as Gary gets around to it down there, he'll put in a GRCS, which you may be able to see all the way down over there. That'll tension things up, and then I'll scoot down this. This is the top of one of those trees down there. It's the smallest one, it's the white oak. I'll go down there, I'll cut it. We're tied in above balance point, so it should be pretty gentle. There's a big old friend right there. Maybe somebody knows what kind of caterpillar that is. That's probably good, yeah. So going into the GRCS pretty good for you down there? Sweet. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and hinge it out that way. it goes. Oh, bummer. I am like the worst when it comes to estimating balance points, which is a skill I really should have. Maybe I'm just still in winter mode, not ready for the leaves yet. I'll blame it on that. Alright, that branch is going to be next, so I'm going to take a nice big swing over there and...
Hey, if you want that to go the other way, you're not being
Oop, I didn't go over any, I just went out. Wow, completely missed that. That's really lame. Oh, slipping on my own rope. Alright, what we're going to do is tie it right here, which I am certain is beyond the balance point on this branch. See here, the plan is to keep working our way over and swinging things this way. So at some point we're going to be getting pretty far away from our block up there, and stuff's going to be swinging pretty far, which means we're going to have a lot of drop, and we're going to have to be super careful that we don't damage those chimney caps out there, because those look like they could be knocked off pretty easy. So we might end up using a tagline. We might end up using a little drill action on the GRCS. We'll see. Alrighty, putting a little pretension on that. That's probably good there, Gary, as far as pretension goes. I will cut a notch and you can pull it some more, okay? There she goes, nice and gentle. Nice rope work, got it pointed towards the chipper. Alright, we crawled up here to take this top out. Part of it's dead. It was just too big to do all at one piece. So we set ourselves a little redirect with our rings, put our strap on here and everything. Ooh, mama. That run, this ring right here is pretty warm to touch. I can still touch it, and this one isn't, but that little one, she got warm. That was a real small rig too. It's also worth mentioning that that's a pretty tight bend radius. Samson says that you're supposed to have a 1 to 8 bend ratio for the diameter of rope you have. So if you have a 3/4 inch diameter rope, you need to have that times 8, which is 6 inches, a 6-inch bend radius, and we're nowhere close to that for this. So I really avoid using rings for much more than I have to. I keep these with me just because they're so handy and so small, and they're good for a little redirect. And I'm using them as a primary point here, but I really try to stay away from as much as possible. It's just not convenient to carry a 3/4 block on your saddle all day, just for the one time you might need it. I'm just cutting a notch for the negative rig out of the top here. Now, we probably could use this and it probably would be strong enough, but just because this is negative and things are going to get shock loaded, I'm going to set it aside. Just use a traditional knot, a running bowline. Here it comes. Oh my. Yeah. Nicely done. Woo, baby. And now my shade's gone. And for anybody who's interested, this bottom ring got warm enough that I can still hold my finger. Oh, no, I'm done. It's hot. And it was only just that little top, you know? Boost, and that's the kind of stuff, it's like, if you're using this as a primary point and you're off over there somewhere else, you don't know how hot this is getting. You know? At some point, these ropes have a working temperature. It's in the specs. It's a noodle, noodle, noodle. Alright, what we got going on here is we're back over in our red maple that's over the house. You know, it's fairly close proximity. Some of the small stuff's touching. But we got our first limb tied on here. It's got a portion that goes up high, and then it's got a portion that goes down towards the chimney. But the challenge is just that we've got a lot of space between our limb and our block, and it's gonna swing pretty low as it goes out there. I think we'll be good. It'll all clear just fine. But Gary's going to have to drop it really fast once it gets out there so it doesn't swing back in some other orientation that could threaten the house. So the struggle with the GRCS sometimes is that you can't switch from lifting to lowering really fast. So all we can do is pre-tension this, then unwrap it and get it into a lowering position. So that way when I cut it off, you know, he can drop it right away. That'll also allow somebody to cushion a piece if they need to in a certain scenario, but that's not this scenario so much. So here we go. Alrighty, good work. Now, as you may have seen, we did contact the roof down there just a little bit. Didn't hurt anything, it was just a brush, but it was not what I wanted. I should have gone over there and taken that piece that bowed down there toward the chimney off ahead of time. So, we'll take that and we'll stick that in our book of lessons learned, and we'll go on throughout the day and see what we can do here. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing again, but we're gonna do a little bit better. We added a tagline just to keep things from being so violent, and just to kind of hold things higher. Pretty sure it's gonna work. It better work. There's no other option. It's gotta work. It worked beautifully. I'm really proud of how that one went. Alrighty, that one did go pretty good. Because it was so much wider, it did just brush the corner down there, which again is not what I was wanting. I came back over to our oak tree, our rigging spar here, so I could move the block up a little bit further. It was down there. I wanted to gain every little bit that I could, just because we were brushing the house more than I cared for, which was brushing it at all. I like to do no touch if I can, which there's always a way. There's always a way. But anyhow, all I have to say is I don't want to go all the way back down that spar and climb all the way back up that other one. I left my redirect over there. I put another redirect, just a carabiner and a sling up there, and then I'm going to use another akimbo to let myself over there. You could do it hand over hand, but it is a long way to go, and we're above our other rigging point, or our other tie-in point, and I just don't think that that's a good idea. I think it's safer to use a mechanical device, or a device, or a prusik or something, to keep ourselves safe and keep from depending on our own strength, because it would be a real bummer if you got halfway across and got tired. Nothing you can do about that. So we're doing something a little bit more reliable than human arms here, and it's always funny because this is technically now a DRT system that this akimbo is running on, and the adjustments are just different for that. I opened it up a little bit, but still is too tight. But it's working. It's just tighter than it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be able to slide without these two pieces touching, and as you can see there, they're touching, and I have to push a little bit further to get it to go. So I'll have to do a little bit better with that next time. But anyhow, we're trying to get back over there where that blue rope is, and as long as we don't run out of tail, which we're not going to, for sure. It just came off the ground down there. We'll have good setup. Now, if I had been advantageous enough, I would have moved this a little bit. Ooh, you know what? I have this fancy hand descender. Maybe it will help me get myself up over there. There we go. I still should have done this earlier. Actually, you know what? Let me see. It's worth it to me. I'm gonna go back a little bit here. I put a sender on our tail and see if we can do that any better in a way that allows us to come in at the right elevation. Because up at the top, it was even sliding through here naturally on its own, just because of the direction of things. Ouch! My pulley just bit me. Okay, we'll take this out. It definitely takes a little bit of strength. Oh, but it is possible. Okay, that's about all I got. Put ourselves down on our tail there a little bit more. And looky there. We're back to our spot. So next time what I would do, instead of having to go back and come up a little bit on this line, I would just take advantage of being able to shorten up this line before I leave that point over there. So, ooh, that sun's bright. Okay, now we'll just take this akimbo off. Toss our tail down over there. Find the house. And then I have to go up there later to get that block anyway, so we can just leave that sling over there and it'll be just fine. Yep, keep going. Keep going. That's good right there. Alright, we got some wicked pre-tension on this piece. We got our block a little bit higher up over there, and it wasn't that much, but every inch counts. We're gonna cut it here. We got our tagline. Ooh, got our tagline kind of rerouted. Let me fix that real quick. Alright, got that fixed so it goes down to where it should. I'm gonna cut this notch slightly up. We're gonna pull it off of there. Yeah, that worked out really good. We'll help this out. Somehow we managed to even point it towards the chipper. So we got this piece of wood. We're gonna make it cut right here. We got our tagline. It's kind of, we'll see if that holds up. I don't know. And then there's a little piece of brush on here. So we're gonna do the same thing, pull it up and away. There it goes, real nice. It's making that spar wave a little bit. I certainly wouldn't want to be up there. Alrighty, we're all tied on. We got that pre-tension. We got a little tagline through some rings up there. And we're gonna swing this out and it'll do what everything else has done. It's pretty standard by now. Everybody ready? Nice. That went pretty smooth. a little bit of ambrosia. That's actually interesting. I mean, this heart is fairly centered. It's not, it's a little bit this way. But typically, when you've got something that leans out real hard, the heart is displaced. It's typically closer to the top side. If I understand correctly though, some species put the heart closer to the bottom side of a limb that's leaning out. If anybody knows anything about that, I'd be super interested to hear some thoughts. I think somebody told me or showed me some Osage orange one time that had the heart closer to the bottom. But typically, like oaks and everything else, almost everything else I've ever cut, it's been closer to the top. So I'd love to hear thoughts on that if anybody's got some. Alrighty, we're up in the top side of this tree now. This is the last spar we need to work here. That one's stay in for now. So what we're gonna do here is I've got rope tied on just short of halfway. I just wasn't gonna go all the way out there. I didn't have good tie-in point. It just wasn't worth it. So I'm gonna cut this off right here, and we're not gonna use a tagline. We're gonna let it fly because we're a lot closer and because we're a lot farther above the roof. I don't know if it's real apparent in the wide angle lens of the GoPro, but we are a lot higher. So should be just fine. Should have no problems. And then Rope Master Gary down there can just drop it without any backswing. Oh, he's even gonna add some tree tension. That's good. That thing will shoot out of here like a rocket now. That was a perfect rig. Doesn't get any more perfect than that. Like I said, Rope Master Gary. Woo. Started to swing back towards the house butt first. Okay, this one's going to be a little bit of a different scenario. We got it tied up there, and it leans heavy that way. Our rigging rope is going that way. We probably should send it that way, but we're pulling pretty hard on it that way. So I think I'm gonna send it right out towards the chimney. That's probably good. Ah, no, you crank on some more. It's hard saying. That's good, because I don't want the pretension to tear the hinge out. I want it to load the line nice and slow and gentle as it, as it comes down this way and swings into the rope, rather than it get pulled over this way and fall into the rope and yank on it. So I guess I'm going to send it that way. Real close, I'm going to give it a push. There it goes. Woo! She fit. Alright, that was the perfect amount of... I saw your hesitation there. Looks like it worked out good. Oh, trash can! Nice miss. Alrighty, gang. I think the plan here is I offered to get the tagline out, but Gary wants to get this wood as close as he can to his firewood pile all the way over there. So we're gonna cut it and we're gonna swing it. And it won't put anything in harm. It's gonna be perfectly safe, because we can rely on Gary for his good rope skills. But it's gonna be quite the spectacle, that's for sure. flat. Also flat. No! No! Dang it. I'm out of gas. Wow, that was not a good hinge. It's kind of end of the day and I got kind of lazy, to be honest. But I should have been more diligent about that. Well, it was almost flat. It was just a wee bit too long. It's probably worth mentioning that it can be really tricky to land pieces flat when they're leaning. When something's leaning, it adds a whole nother level of variable to that equation of, you know, one fifth of what's standing. So it depends, it changes how fast the piece is rotating when it comes off of the cut. So if you really get things figured out, you can still land them flat. I am not quite that good. So as you saw there, that made a hole in the ground. But I still try to do the best that I can and try to learn. The struggle ends up being that the pitch of whatever you're climbing changes. I mean, how many times have you been in a tree that has, you know, the spar with the lean on it, that's the same lean the entire way throughout the length of the spar? I mean, this one here has already changed substantially. So it can just be tricky. Most of the time, if I'm working on a straight spar, I use how the last one landed to judge how to make my next one. You know, if it over rotated, it was a little short. If it under rotated, it was a little bit long. And we know that the piece you cut off next always needs to be a little bit shorter than the next one, so you can just make your adjustments as necessary. So I might have already come down too far for this one. Go back up. I think we'll give it a try right here. It's also shaped like a banana, so we're going to try and keep it plenty far from the house because it's going to want to jump all over the ground if it does land just the wrong way down there. Alright, that one landed good and flat. And because my hinge was not perfectly even, it also rotated this way. And that's how the banana ended up sideways down there, which was kind of completely unintentional, but kind of interesting how that worked out. Alright, so at the end of the day, we got everything down. As usual. I mean, I guess that's how all of my videos end. It's not like anything special, like, ooh, couldn't finish it. But anyhow, there's the final cut on that thing. Supposedly, again, I can't be a part of the decision, unfortunately, but this thing is coming down later. But that's where we finished it for today. There it lays. That oak we were rigging off of, I cut some pieces out of the top, and it's now in a position where it can just be tipped in this direction. Same with the white oak there. And should be a good day for Gary to just come back and tip over some logs and finish the cleanup. So we're all wrapped up here. I think it's my time to head out. I appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed this and you want to see more, by all means, feel free to subscribe. We always appreciate new subscribers. And I certainly hope to catch you on the next one. Thanks.